Welcome, everyone.
Yeah.
All of our vast fans and fandom, thank you all for being here.
So many.
And
just the quality, not the quantity.
That's right. We have some quality people in here today. And may I just start by saying, Dragon Con! Thank you.
Dragon Con!
It needed to be said. That's right. We're really happy that you're here. We're going to have some time for you to talk. We'll do Q&As after each clip because we know that you're probably too ADD to hold all your questions till the end. But please do hold questions and comments until we have any of those breaks. We will have a chance for you to participate and ask questions. And
over the breaks.
You'll know when we get there.
When we get
so good they'll stop a limb.
Hold the questions until the Q&A. I feel like you weren't paying attention. This guy. But it's the quality of the people, right? As he reminded us. If we got any aspiring voice actors or animators outside, y'all come on here. You're in the right place. We've got a really exciting story to tell you about some very exciting projects that are coming up soon. Welcome, come on in. Sweet costumes, y'all.
Yes.
This is I know them, and this is actually true. This is just a weekend, man.
How do you know that? I have a question.
So for those of you that just got here, hold all your questions until the Q&A portions. We're going to sprinkle them in throughout the show. Let's kick off. I really want to give this over to the man, the myth, the legend that made this all happen, who put all the events in motion that have created an entire universe of comic books, cartoons, and his very own animation studio, Corey Rocbottom Davis. Corey, tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you get here?
Oh, wow.
920.
You beat me too. The start is basically after, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Pretty much after college, I had, done a few like independent titles and comics and everything. So that was my passion initially, was to get into comic books and everything. So I kind of cut my teeth in independent comics while I was still in school. And actually, DragonCon was my second comic book convention I had ever been to, like ever. And coming and seeing all the people was like a big inspiration. And I'd say about maybe 2002, I was living in this like little shack in the middle of nowhere and just had nothing but time. So I just started creating all of these properties and had all these ideas that were coming, into my head. And I was just like, okay, well, I have to get this out. And I was in very good company at the time because one of my best friends through college was Sanford Green. My roommate at the time was Chuck Brown, and they were the ones who went on to create Bitterroot. Shout out to them. And ultimately, coming up with all of these different characters and everything just, put me in a mindset to where, okay, well, I got to give this to the people and just not sit with this. I was, kind of tired of doing everybody else's stuff. So I just wanted to do something that, I could feel like I created and I have ownership in. And that said, the first thing I created was a comic called Lion's Den Revolution. And basically, at this time, I was working at my godfather's daycare as like this graphic designer. And I had this office and everything, and I felt important. And I was just like, okay, well, when I'm not doing like newsletters and stuff, I'm just gonna start using this technology to kind of create, that universe. And about 150 characters into that story, I was like, I think I got something going. And so, flash forward to about a year or two later, I started putting it on online. DeviantArt was like a big thing back then, and the Artzilla, breeding grounds and everything with all the upcoming comic artists at the time, and just putting it out there to kind of get a feel of how people would feel about it. And then I just did 10 pages. I just drew 10 pages worth of story. I think I drew it before I even wrote it. I just kind of went off what I had in my head, and then I was just like, well, gotta have the script. So I was just like, I wrote the script after I drew the pages, and I had a ton of talented friends surrounding me, talented inkers, talented colorists, and after putting it on social media and such, there was a magazine that I was working for at the time that was a music magazine for like up and coming musicians and rappers and all that stuff coming up out of Southern California, called Expose. And they reached out to me after about a year of working with them. I was just doing like inserts and graphic design work for them, and did some character work. And they were like, well, we have this thing that we're doing. We have a new publication that we want you to be a part of. And I was like, well, tell me more about it. And it was a magazine called The Underwire. And working with Joe Walker and Yusef Shells, who was known as DJ Fathom, they came together and created this new technology that would go on to be the digital desktop format that you know today. So when they pitched the idea to me, I was under the impression it was going to be a published magazine. They were just like, no, it's all going to be digital. And I was just like, I don't know about that. Like, at the time, there was nothing like it. So it was, you want to read a magazine, you pick it up, you open it in your hand, you turn the page. So basically what they did was they created the technology that when you sit down and read a magazine online, you take the mouse, you click it, you turn the page. And I wasn't really sold on it at the time, so I was just like, well, I don't know if this is gonna work. So they're just like, well, we'll give you 10 pages to do whatever you want. And I was just like, okay, so if I bring you something that I created, do I keep my creator-owned rights in the event that this thing just kind of craps the bed? And they were just like, yeah. I was like, can you put it in writing? And they were like, yeah. So they put it in writing. I gave them Lions Den Revolution. I gave them the 10 pages. And Lions Den Revolution went on to be the first ever digital desktop format distributed globally before Marvel or DC did. So that made history, and even then I was just kind of like, yeah, and it didn't really hit me until like 10 years later. It was just like, oh shit, we made history. So I was like, so what do you do from there after making a historic leap in the realm of comics? And the only thing that we could think of is to turn it into an animated feature film, which now we have the ability to do. As of last week, I just signed a contract, and I now own the largest Black-owned animation studio in the world. Woo! And shout out to my business partners in that, Tony Tite and Eric Davis. Tony Tite is an Atlanta native. He's done animation here. He had a dream to create an animation studio. Then he said, "I'm going to take this animation studio from Atlanta to South Carolina and put it up in Columbia." And we came together like Voltron. And now we have this fantastic space that we can now house 50 to 200 animators. And with the whole thing that just happened recently with Cartoon Network going down, Paramount, Netflix animation went down. We are now at the space where we can create jobs for other animators and bring them in, and especially voice actors. We can bring in all artists and give them a home in the midst of all of this chaos that's going on in the industry. So, with that said, getting back to Lions Den, I reconnected with my editors, the gentlemen that I previously named, and now they are executive producers on what will be Lions Den Revolution, the animated movie. I got a buddy of mine, Mike Sofaluke, and we'll get back to him in a minute. This will be his first animated feature film, Nigerian animator based out of London. Really good friend of mine. And Paul. Yeah, so that's the teaser for Lions Den Revolution. And the story of Lions Den Revolution is it's about a character named Jimmy Wong, who is a fighting tournament champion who is framed for murder, and he comes back for revenge. And the action sequences that we have been planning out for like the last few months is insane. We're going to be working with some very talented animators, some of which worked on some of the stuff that you guys are familiar with, Blue Eye Samurai. We have a few people that have worked on like Velma, Proud Family. So we've got so many different talented individuals that are going to be working alongside us with this project, and we're very excited. So that is Lions Den Revolution. And that's the gateway into what we're about to go into. So, with that said, the next thing that we have is a project that, yeah, you can do that.
I did promise Stefan in particular that he could ask questions.
I don't have any questions.
That is such a relief. Does anyone else have any questions or comments for Corey or the gang so far?
Talk about Jet Boy.
Yeah.
So we are, but we're kind of holding that one for our grand finale. Any questions on Lions Den Revolution before we move on to our next project? You already had your question.
Y'all said you was looking for voice actors. Is that true?
Oh wow, he's doing a pretty good impression.
That's a very good
good. That's a good gribble there, sir.
You mean rusty?
Rusty.
Right. So I've had people telling me all my life that I'm pretty good at doing all these voices and such, but I ain't got no clue where to start with it.
And I heard y'all say you were looking for voice actors. Oh, right. Sorry, I'm not used to this newfangled technology. But yeah, I heard y'all say you was looking for voice actors.
You heard right.
Well, how do I get involved with something like that, if it would be at all possible?
At the end of the show, we're going to get everybody's information that wants to, be involved in whatever capacity, from voice actors to animation, any artistic endeavor that we're offering, like background artists, you know, whatever you got.
Hell yeah, I'd love to be a part of it, brother.
All right.
Yeah,
Love
stick
to have
around.
you.
Yeah.
Thanks for your question.
Thanks, Rusty. Who else has it?
Welcome, sir.
We've got a question in the back here. Don't hold it too close to your mouth.
All right, so you said this is about a champion fighter.
Mm-hmm.
I know that in like live action sequences, fight scenes have a rhythm to them.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about capturing that in animation?
We have at our new facility a green screen room for mocap. Yeah, so we're gonna capture all of that action. So now, outside of just having people just come in and beat the crap out of each other, we're just gonna have to have like trained actors that will come in and do like the thing, capture it all, and just transfer it over into animation. And yeah, so that's pretty much the format. It's pretty standard.
What are you using for that? Like, what software?
Unreal Engine, Maya, everything that you can do that yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, anything that we can throw in there to capture, like, the action. That it's 2D, and we have 2D and 3D capabilities. So it's going to be a mixture of both. We've got some talented animators that are just waiting to like get this thing done. So we're going to mix. This will be the first thing that we mix 2D and 3D together. So like we have some properties that we're doing where like the background is going to be 3D, and then you have 2D on top of that. But with this particular project, we're going to have like a solid mixture of both within the standard animation and the background animation. So to see all of that come together is going to be live. And yeah, so we're using a great bit of technology.
What do you use for your 2D animation? Toon Boom Harmony or Flash or Animate or whatever?
Toon Boom is the main thing because Toon Boom seems to be a bit more universal.
I got some people for you.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you said that because Toon Boom
I
is.
will definitely sign your thing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, Toon Boom seems to be like the most universal that I've come across with like a lot of the animators that I've come across that wanted to be a part of it. So I'm just like, yeah. So we'll have Toon Boom in there, and we'll have like certain things. Like certain people are used to whatever it is that they're used to. Adobe, Toon Boom, whatever. After Effects, all of that stuff. Yeah. So mostly Toon Boom is what we're going to be.
All right, great questions. Does anyone else have a question? Anyone at all? Anyone? No? All right. We got time for one more.
Hi, is there actually a Wikipedia entry of Lionsden being the first ever worldwide comic?
I'm sorry? What was the first part of that?
Is there a Wikipedia entry of Lionsden being the first worldwide comic?
I don't think there is. I don't know if there is or not as far as Wikipedia goes. But yeah, it should be something.
You can make up whatever you want. It's Wikipedia.
Yeah, there you go.
Hold on. Paul, get on it.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, y'all. Well, we appreciate your questions and engagement. We're going to move on to our next project. Take us away.
All right. This next one it's really fun. And if we're moving away from Lionsden, which would be more of a PG-13, this would probably be the hard R of the batch. Yeah, right. Just thought about that. But a hard R as far as rating goes. Shadow Club Karma is a story about the Wolfman, Mummy, Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Dracula, Creature from the Black Lagoon, all of these iconic universal monsters coming together to pretty much save the world. And where this story started was in 2004. I was dating a woman who was really into like science, graphic design, all that good stuff. She brought me this book called The Mystery of the Crystal Skulls. And I was like, oh man, that's pretty cool. And at that time, I had come up with the premise of Shadow Club with all of these monsters, but didn't have a story behind it. How would these monsters come together? What would make, like, all of these guys come together and want to save the world, Avengers style? And with the addition of those crystal skulls and learning about the fact that there were 13 of these skulls, and having these monsters just kind of go through a redemption arc individually, and then just say, okay, this is the final battle of heaven and hell, and they end up on God's army. And I was like, well, how do we do that? And just going through history and going through like religion and just saying, okay, this is a chance to rewrite all of those things using these monsters. How would the world look at people that were categorized as monsters? Now they have to depend on them to save their lives and save our entire existence. And after a year of just kind of, you know, putting ideas and stuff together and, you know, kind of Frankenstein an idea together, that's where Shadow Club Karma came up as a comic book. And, you know, I dropped that book, I'd say maybe about a decade and a half ago, and just kind of built from that. So translating that into animation was fun because there's so many spin-offs from that particular story. There's a lot of spin-offs from that story. And as of I'd say about a few months ago, we decided to do a Halloween special that's in the vein of the old Power Hour, like animation we used to watch on Saturday mornings. So that would give us an opportunity to break down every single spin-off into one coherent story done anthology. So 6 10-minute shorts, an hour long, with everything that we have to offer from the Shadow Club universe. And with that said, I was able to get some very talented voice actors to come on and do this thing, one of which is sitting right beside me. This is Aaron Blumberg, and I will give the mic to Aaron, and I will let Aaron give you his backstory as an actor and everything.
My name is Aaron Blumberg. I have done over 30 indie films. Like if you're a fan of horror, maybe Jimmy's being a bad guy. I got into voice acting. First off, I love anything creative. Any opportunity to come together and share a concept and an idea, promote something that's out of the box or an original, I find it absolutely beautiful and worth diving into. So the universe that Corey created is a lot of fun. Like I play a few different characters in a couple different series. For the Shadow Club Karma, I'm Satan, which
Hail Satan! No
Hail.
believers in the room.
The ultimate bad news.
But like, I actually started a long time ago in theater. My dad was a theater major, and I fell in love with the creative process, building a team, finding individuals, like learning everybody's lines back and forth. But what happens in theater is you create this family, you create building a reel with voice acting is very similar to what you do with film, where you have projects you've completed and you go together. You have a set list that you can submit the projects. This is your work page. You send it back. Looking at home studio is well worth doing. There's a lot of things you can apply right now that are simple and easy to convert on your own PC at your house and submit it over. Technology, we have the ability to work at everything nowadays is self-tapes. You record your own auditions. So it's learning how to do both sides, both the talent, figuring out what a character's going to do, how the character's going to talk, how they're going to deliver their lines. The overall being, as well as the technical side, in order to figure out what you need to do in order to get your levels right, so you're not peaking X, Y, or Z before you submit whatever you're doing. If you want to follow that up, just as far as this project goes, there's a lot within this universe that we're going to be chasing. Joel, Dollinger, this character over here, is another. You're Dracula.
Yeah. I'm the good guy.
Yeah, as far as my journey from film and voice acting, it's been a pretty simple, easy process because I have the studio in the house set up for the recording process because I was doing film auditions and all that jazz already. Just a matter of picking up the mics and recording what I do. On my free time. Or all that sort of things. Jack, you got anything on this project?
Well, let's let the project speak for itself.
Yeah, so what we're about to see is the intro to, well, it's a few things on this reel. Shadow Club Karma, the animated series, as we pitched it to Amazon and a few other places, that, you know, talks broke down and we were just kind of like, yeah, you know, that way. So this is the animated intro that you're about to watch. Then there is the test reel for what the ending of episode 1 would be. The next thing that we have after that is Aaron at work. That would be a trailer for a web series that we were planning to do, called Shadow Club Karma: A Season in Hell, which tells you the origin of Dracula. And the last thing that we're going to see is the trailer for that anthology that I mentioned before. So it's all in one clip. Paul, if you want to give it to the people. Absolutely.
And those who do his bidding. Back to the depths of hell.
I can't wait for that one. It's gonna be so much fun. Yeah. So next Halloween, we're gonna drop that Halloween special, and I think we're still in the planning stages of exactly where we're gonna drop it. We start production on that guy in November. After we wrap up production on the next project, which I know you were waiting to hear about. This is Jet Boy. Jet Boy is very near and dear to my heart because Jet Boy was born from growing up reading comics and being a fan of animation and such. I came into the game in the late 80s as far as comics go. And we've had, black superheroes that were there, but they weren't really being used. Like, Black Panther has, been around since the 60s. Cage since the 70s. At this point in time, in the realm of comics, they were highly underused. And what we had at that particular point was Batman and Wolverine and all of those characters being shoved down our throats, and there was no real characters of color being represented properly in the realm of comic books and superheroes and such. So I came in and picked up X-Men for the first time in 1989, I believe it was. And the premise behind the X-Men was like there's a group of individuals that are feared and hated by society. And I was just like, wow, that sounds familiar. And when you look at the characters, I mean, Storm was there, and I was just like, oh yeah, well, there's a person of color. And then they immediately killed her the next issue. I was like, wow, I just got here. And they just killed one of us. So it was crazy to kind of jump in on that. And from that being said, that's where the foundation of where Jet Boy came from. And I wanted to create more characters that look like us, for kids that look like us, that could find an escape. The same way that kids have been finding the same type of escape with Superman and everything, but kids are gonna want to be attached to someone that looks like them, so they feel like they belong in that lore. So that's where Jet Boy came from. And Jet Boy, the character, is an amalgamation of myself and my son when we were both 10. And I was just like, wow, if we were to combine those two personalities together, that would be very dangerous. And that was where Jet Boy was born. And Jet Boy, story-wise, is the story of a 10-year-old kid who works for a top-secret government agency that polices alien technology. And it's so fun to build that rogues gallery because the villains are so outrageous and over the top. And I had the privilege of doing the comic with a friend of mine, Mike Poole, who gave me a spot in his anthology to create Jet Boy and give it a comic presence. And then I was approached at MegaCon in, I'd say, about 2008, which is about 2-3 years after I had last done that anthology. Didn't really do anything with Jet Boy since then. And it was a gentleman by the name of Mustafa Saeed. Shout out to Mustafa Saeed. He is my agent / investor now. But at the time, he had left ESPN to create his own production company. And while looking through my portfolio at MegaCon, he said, "Tell me more about this character." And, gave him the same story, and he was just like, "We need to bring this to the world." And this wasn't far after I met my friend that I mentioned before, Mike Sofaluke. I met Mike on MySpace, of all places, and met him as a comic book artist meeting an animator. And, he was like, "Yeah, I have an animation studio here in London with, my partner Marvin." I was just like, "All right, cool." So, after being friends for about 3 months, he goes, after I posted the picture that I drew of the initial Jet Boy design, he hits me up. He was like, "Wow, what is that? This looks like kind of what we do for our day jobs over here." And I was just like, "Wait a minute, what do you do for your day jobs? I know you're an animator. What do you do?" And he was like, "I don't know. Do you guys have the gorillas over there in the States?" And I was just like, "What?" And he was just like, "Yeah, I'm one of the lead animators on the Gorillaz music videos through Passion Pictures." And I was just like, "We've been friends for 3 months and you didn't tell me that you were the lead animator on the Gorillaz music videos?" And it just went from there. And so our friendship was bonded at that point with this one character. And he was just like, "We need to make this a cartoon." And to this day, he's my co-director on Jet Boy. And we've been planning and writing and doing this ever since then. And now we're at the point where we can actually give it to the world. After meeting with Phil Moore, if those of you who grew up in the 90s and were like Nickelodeon heads like me, you know Phil Moore from Nick Arcade. He was the host. And a gentleman by the name of Mark Cooper that I brought in to voice Jet Boy, he's friends with Phil. And he was just like, "Yeah, let's talk to Phil." And now Phil has hopped on and he's helping us produce this project. And fingers crossed, we might have it in front of Nickelodeon once we get done with this 10-minute short that we're working on right now. And that is the Jet Boy journey. And one of the characters in that show is a villain by the name of Orange Hood, who's just a guy in an orange hood who's just bringing chaos behind the scenes, and he's just too scared to be involved in the action, so he's just behind the scenes just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna mess stuff up." So it just so happens that the gentleman that's sitting at the end of this row is the voice of the Orange Hood, and I will let...
Don't all applaud at once.
So, Joel, why don't you give the people what it is that you do?
Yeah. More comfortable on this side of the podium.
There you go.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name's Joel Dollinger. A couple years ago, I quit my soul-crushing corporate job to pursue my dream of being a stand-up comedian.
Yay!
Which was a very bad financial decision, as you might imagine. But it led me to some paths and some things that I never would have done if I had just stayed working for that one big bank that we're all thinking of, but that I dare not speak its name or they would sue both of my pants off. For one, it led me into an awesome voice acting opportunity, and I think that's definitely a door that wouldn't have opened if he hadn't been out there seeing me perform at the open mics, and just jumping out into the thing that you want to do, whatever it is that your dream is. Life is too short for you to be doing anything else. So if voice acting is your dream, or animation, or whatever else it is, I encourage you all to do it. Don't wait, and whatever that looks like for you, make room for that in your life. It also landed me my day job at Fitz Games, where my day job is to invent card games and board games. Pretty cool day job, right? And also something that I've met through my comedian contacts. It obviously, you've heard some of my attempts at comedy. Obviously, none of this is coming on the strength of my stand-up, but although my Netflix special is nowhere on the horizon, there's a lot of really exciting projects that I'm involved in, and really excited to be the voice of Dracula in Shadow Club Karma, and the voice of the Orange Hood, the sniveling toady minion for the big bad. But definitely been a lot of fun to work on those projects, and let's show them what it's all about.
All right, here we go. This is what we're about to watch. Is what was initially the pitch that we had put together for Netflix, and we put this thing it was just to give the tone of the show. Any basic pitch, if you're pitching to a corporate entity, it has to be able to give the tone and the flow of the show. So we took a lot of rough animatics and finished animation and put it together to show, and ultimately, inadvertently, we created this thing that was then jury selected by the BIPOC Animation Festival in Austin, Texas, that goes on around the time of South by Southwest. And they got a hold of us and selected it, and then it was then nominated for Best Animated Feature. So what we're about to watch is Jet Boy, Today Was a Good Day, and I hope you enjoy it. Here we go.
Rough day at the office, but I'm alive.
So what's with that scratch on your face?
I got in a fight with a bully today.
Did you beat it?
Jet Boy coming at you at top speed. He doesn't know what I have a plan. Look up. Huh. You looking for me, clown face? Show's over. You must like your father's head off. I'll bring it to you right now. Now, it's time for you to cool your jets. Yeah, I did pretty good.
Good. You came from me. You better be ready.
What?
All right, there's Jet Boy. So I mentioned Mark Cooper, and the voice of Jet Boy's mom happens to be this gentleman's wife. So, Brendy McNair, very talented voice actress. Very lucky to have her on board with this project as well. Mike Sofaluke, who helped with the direction. Boom Animation, who came in and kind of helped us with this initial pitch. Very talented people. Matt White and his crew came in. I couldn't be more happy with the outcome. And like I said, we're working on that 10-minute short right now that hopefully will find a home at a certain Orange network or any network that we can bring it to. And with that said, this is Rocbottom Studios. This is what we do. And yeah, I think what we want to open the floor to any questions, depending on how much time
we have the room for 3 whole more minutes, right?
There we go.
Is anyone rushing us out of here, or can we go a little over?
So I said we can go about 10 minutes over.
All right, cool. Well, we promised there would be more than one Q&A session. I feel like I just lost an earring. Okay, anyway. With all that you now know on the journey that you have been with us over the last hour, anything else that you'd like to contribute or you'd like to ask? Well, you already had a question.
I was just wondering when we're going to see Ed the Clown.
There you go.
That guy's a cool one.
Ed the Clown is this very obscure character in the Jet Boy lore, and I couldn't be more happy to have Nori Noir be the voice of that character. We gotta give it up for them. They're amazing. They're just as talented at voice acting as they are at being a DJ.
Oh yeah, y'all come out and see Nori tomorrow night at
Yes,
the
please.
Dragon Con Rave. Atrium Marriott, 3 a.m. Shut it down.
Yes.
With us. We're gonna. All right. Goodbye. Goodbye. Thanks for being a disruptive influence. Love your costumes. Here, you had a question for us, Rusty?
Yeah. I got to get going here for that same costume contest, but I'd love to give y'all my information. How do I do that? Where can I find you again soon?
All right, there's paper up here. I think we need a pen. Anybody got a pen? Yes, please. Yeah, just throw it.
Yeah, well, Corey, if people are looking for you and how to contact you and find out more about your business, where do they go?
www.rockbottomstudios.com. That is ROC without the K. All my socials are there. Everything is there. You can find me at Rocbottom Studios at rockbottomstudios.com. My personal email is at rockbottomstudios@gmail.com. You can catch me at all of these places. The website has my Instagram, Facebook, all of those good things. So you can check out more of the stuff. There's plenty more animation animation to check out. There's the comics that this animation is all based on. So yeah, just that's a way to get a hold of us. My studio is located in Columbia, South Carolina. So we're just right up the road. We're not far at all. And yeah, we're looking for voice actors and animators. And yeah, so now you know how to get a hold of me. Keep in touch. Woo!
Yeah, thank you. And if any of you would like us to have your socials or contact information, feel free to come up and leave that before you go as well. Who else had a question for us?
Is that it?
Questions, comments, concerns, emotional outbursts? I think we've got some questions for you, actually. You have a trivia question / questions for us, Corey?
All right.
There is prize support.
All right, so we got prizes?
We got prizes.
All right, so really quick. First trivia question will be related to Lion's Den Revolution. Lion's Den Revolution was the first of its kind to do what?
First black-owned animation studio.
No.
Although we're very proud of that.
Yes, yes.
But specifically to Lion's Den Revolution. Anyone remember that one?
That's it. She's got. Hold on. Yeah, she got it.
She got it.
She got it.
All right. Judges will allow it. All right, everyone give it up. Yeah. Paying attention. We like it when people do that. All right, so we've got some prizes. I mentioned that I work for Fitz Games. These are some, I think of them like Cards Against Humanity booster packs, but they're all centered around a theme. Look through the themes, pick the one that fits your vibe, and yeah, any one of those. All right, you got another trivia question while she's picking her prize?
Absolutely. All right, so with Shadow Club Karma, which character is this gentleman sitting beside me playing?
All right, I saw this guy's hand in the bag first.
He was Satan.
Yes.
And is. All right, pick one of these. So, yeah, they're like Cards Against Humanity, but they're all centered around a theme, like horror movies, or drugs, or butt stuff.
Yeah, and he's not even, he's doing Satan's work right now. All right.
Right, good pick. Thank you. All right, you got one more question for us?
One more question, and that is with Jet Boy. What was Jet Boy's occupation?
Well, you're in that show. All right, I'm gonna. If nobody else gets it, we're gonna come back to you. All right, Mario, I saw your hand up.
Wasn't it working for a secret agency to fight alien technology?
Yes. There you go.
All right, give it up. Just right off the top.
Yeah.
All right, good choice. All right, y'all. Well, we really appreciate y'all coming out, and have a great Dragon Con.
Yes. Yes, please give me all the info.
Oh, yeah. So, I don't, we also have another connection, which is Sherry Thompson. She's a very good friend of mine.
Sherry, that's my sister.
She
Thanks, Dory.
She's like, you need to go check this out while you're down there.
Oh,